Hey guys, second part of our spawning program here that we're doing here. So another thing that the next step after this pre-spawn is when they're actually spawning, sitting on the bed, guarding their nest or their eggs. So the first one that moves up are typically the bucks. They get up there and make a bed and make sure that no one else is going to come around. So they really guard a lot, and they are the ones that start the process. They make sure that that the female has somewhere to go and come over and lay her egg. So as they're sitting there, they're going to guard everything. A largemouth only wants to guard 320 degrees. They want to guard everything out in front of them. So they typically back up to something. So it's either up a hill just a little bit, or a rock, or a tree, or something like that. So they always want to sit in front of something so that they can only have to guard whatever's in front of them. Otherwise, they just get worn out and they just get tired. Not like a smallmouth. A smallmouth doesn't care. He'll spawn anywhere. He'll put a bed out in the middle of a sandbar. It doesn't matter to them because they're a lot different when it comes to the spawn. They're a lot more aggressive. But that being said, I'm still using search baits, right? So I still got a jackhammer. I still got a spinnerbait. I'm still using some kind of shad pattern. I will go down the bank with this a lot of times while I'm working, while I'm looking for spawning fish, because I want them to chase that bait out. And once they chased off their bed, then I could turn around and go back and fish for them because I know where they just came from. So a lot of times that's a big part of the arsenal when it comes to spawning fish during the spring, is something that you could use to search with. After that, still same thing, Senko, some kind of stick bait. This now, at this point, I typically, instead of in the beginning, I rig it wacky style in the beginning of the spawn, because I'm usually just throwing it off points, areas where there's not as much trees or things like that. During the spawn, I'm going to Texas rig it, so it's weedless. I want it to be weedless because most likely I'm going to use that to start fishing on the bed. Might be my first bait that I throw up there on the bed. A lot of times that's going to be around a tree or some kind of cover, so you need it to be weedless so it sneaks through those things and you don't just hang it every single time and have to break it off so you don't go in there and disturb the nest. The next thing I'm going to do is, and this depends, is I go smaller. So I start out with a Senko, maybe a 5 or 6 inch Senko. The next thing I do is something small. So I want to be, this is a limit out craw by Arizona Custom Baits. This is the perfect bait. And I have clients on my boat all year long. You can cast, you can be accurate with it. The only thing that I don't like about it, and you can fix it because you can make it weedless, but I usually use it with open hook, is the only bad thing is that it's an open hook. So typically, most beds I have to look at them, make sure I see what I want to do, and then I can start with this bait. If it's not around trees or something like that, I can easily have people cast in there. I usually use white or a natural color. This is more of a natural color, or I use just white. If that doesn't work, and they eat it right away, if they don't eat it right away, then I'm gonna go to something a little bit bigger. And typically once those big females come in there and start this, then I might get into something a little bit bigger, which we'll get into on the next one. So, but again, search baits first. As I'm going down the bank looking for them, maybe a stick bait, and then again, start with something small, and then I'll go up from there. So stay tuned to the next one and we'll get after it and see what else we got going on.